I was just chosen as the rapporteur for the 6x1 PEC, which reduces the work week from 44 to 40 hours. I want to thank the President of the National Congress, Senator David Alcolumbre, and the President of the Constitution and Justice Committee, Senator Otto Alencar, for trusting me with such an important role as Rapporteur for Brazilian workers. Rest assured that we will move as quickly as possible, especially because this is a constitutional amendment proposal that has a deadline to be met. I want to hear from my fellow senators who are part of this group, because the role as Rapporteur is not mine alone. It involves the participation of the members of the National Congress. And I hope that as soon as possible, now during the recess, I can read the report. And I hope we can move this proposal forward as soon as possible. 6x1. We are going to put an end to it. 5x2. Improving workers' mental health, allowing the workers to spend more time with their families. It's the victory of the Brazilian people.
Pedro, is this rapprochement between Lula and Alcolumbre working? Is it for real?
A rapprochement that's bringing results for the President of the Republic. It gained yet another layer after the oil there in the Foz region, there in Amapá.
Guys, let me give you some information that just came in. This is important. Ambassador Jameson Greer, who is the head of USTA, which is the Office of External Affairs, Foreign Trade Affairs, of the United States, got in touch after Trump's call with Lula to talk to our Minister of Foreign Trade, Márcio Elias Rosa, and ask him for a meeting so the two of them could meet next week. So they should talk on Monday to meet either next week or later to resume the discussions, technical discussions about the American tariffs. So this is quite important because it's already the first result of that phone conversation that happened earlier between Lula and Trump. So Trump probably already instructed his advisor to get in touch with President Lula's advisor, the minister, so they could meet and start renegotiating. So this is already a practical effect of that phone conversation that happened earlier. Important exclusive information I'm bringing you.
Just to remind you that dark horse exists, because some people are forgetting. The liquor doesn't take care, the villain doesn't take care of him, of that. Flávio, promise, I'll investigate everything, everything's going to be great, come on, promise us, come on.
And then I want to add two things that were my requests, both to the production company and to the fund. Right, that they organize themselves to give everyone an accounting of the expenses incurred because of this investment in the film in a transparent way within 30 days. That's what I asked for. And my other request, the legal team also agreed. The other request is that as soon as the film starts to bring in results, the amount that was invested in the film as a result of the investment is through this company indicated by Daniel Borcaro. It will be set aside, it will be separated so that it is available to the Brazilian authorities to do whatever they see fit as long as it is within the law. Therefore, very calmly and with full transparency, that was what I had to say about the film.
He didn't explain anything, and then there are these surreal things, right? He left São Paulo 2 days ago. Yeah. And then he said, no, I've already explained. What did he explain? To whom? What did he explain? Just a little bit, which is a bit shameless, right? No.
President Lula expressed to his aides, right, a certain surprise at President Donald Trump's tone. The aide I spoke to described it like this. The impression is that nothing happened, no? Nothing had happened. The big tariff didn't come back, nor did the two tariffs, right? The big tariff and the little tariff, or the tiny tariff, right? Like they joked about at the time, right? It became a joke inside the Planalto Palace because of the Bolsonaro's fingerprints on the sanctions. But it's impressive how it's as if nothing had happened. He was very receptive. He didn't mention any kind of dissatisfaction or impasse at any moment. The conversation lasted an hour and 20 minutes, according to the source here. Lula went back to discussing matters of interest to Brazil. Trump gave the order for the teams to meet again at the technical level to deal with that big tariff issue, right? The Planalto Palace doesn't expect a resolution until October, when the elections end. But anyway, the talks are happening again. Lula also took the opportunity to talk about the war, Sarsa, to talk about the war in Ukraine. It's been dragging on for 5 years now. He asked for efforts to have a discussion about ending this deadlock, right, this conflict, through the UN Security Council. Trump, according to the source, also seemed receptive to the idea. I asked if at any point Lula had mentioned the Bolsonaro family's visit. The Bolsonaro family's actions, the information they brought to Donald Trump, right? by Flávio Eduardo Bolsonaro? And the answer was no. At no point did Lula mention the family's name. I asked. Trump also didn't, according to the source at the Planalto Palace. So what we have here at this moment is, again, a resumption of direct communications and some surprise at the President of the United States, who dealt 2 blows to the Brazilian economy. But as if nothing happened. Everything was just fine. No regrets.
That the constitutional amendments to end the 6-on, 1-off work schedule and on public security were finally sent to the Constitution and Justice Committee in the Senate. Senator Omar Aziz was appointed rapporteur for the constitutional amendment to end the 6-on, 1-off work schedule from PSD of Bahia. Meanwhile, the constitutional amendment on public security will be handled by Senator Rogério Carvalho, who is from PT of Sergipe. The one who has the information is my friend Soane Guerreiro. Soane, was this indication expected with rapporteurs who are very much aligned with the Planalto Palace and with the expectation that this process will take place? We know that everyone is already back in their home states with only special session work left, but the government still has a little hope of making some progress on at least one of these issues. Good afternoon. Welcome.
No doubt, Natalia. Very good afternoon to you and to everyone watching us. And now, after these movements inside the Federal Senate, everything indicates that, yes, during this special session week, which will be in 2 weeks, in the first week of September,
that the government will indeed make progress on the priority agendas that have been defined.
Just to remind everyone, a few weeks ago, we didn't even expect these agendas to move forward in the Senate.
But after the meetings between President Lula and the President of the Senate, Davi Alcolumbre, with this renewed closeness, everything changed.
So on Friday afternoon, we had the referral of these 2 constitutional amendment proposals to the Constitution and Justice Committee. 2 constitutional amendment proposals that were set as a priority at the last meeting between Lula and Alcolumbre. In addition to those 2, there was another topic that was also set as a priority, which was the national policy on critical minerals. Only this one has not yet moved forward in the Senate.
In other words, 2 out of the 3 topics set as priorities by the government in this conversation between Lula and Alcolumbre have been moved forward.
Let's talk about these specifically. Regarding the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule, which has strong public support, it is also a priority topic for the government. For several months now, I just spoke a little while ago with the rapporteur of this matter, Senator Omar Aziz, and he told me that he will work so that this report is ready for a vote during the concentrated effort week. I even asked him if he was going to talk to members of the government, if he was going to talk to representatives of the sectors, that are affected. And he said the following, that at this moment, the priority is to talk to the Senate leaders, with the members of the Federal Senate. But he said he will work so that this report on the PEC, which foresees the end of the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule, can be voted on in the Constitution and Justice Committee already this week during the Senate's intensive voting week. And we know that after the CCJ, which would be the first stage there in the Federal Senate, that checks if there is any aspect of the proposal that goes against the Constitution, the Constitution's unamendable clauses. After that, it's the Senate floor's turn. So if there is political will, it's possible to have significant progress on this issue. But we also know that the opposition will work to try to extend these deadlines. After the PEC reaches the CCJ, there is a deadline for amendments. So let's see how this will play out within the Constitution and Justice Committee. But there are high expectations for progress within the CCJ still during the special legislative work week.